2, 1, off you go.
Hello, you gorgeous lot. Welcome to the Newport Marathon 2025. This is me enjoying a sumptuous gel around 5 kilometers in, having a great time. But how long would this joy last on my 4th attempt at a sub 3 hours marathon? Richmond Marathon, my first attempt. I finished, it says there on Strava, on what was probably the hottest day in the history of the United Kingdom. 6 months later at Brighton, a 3 hours and 11 minutes. Closer, but no cigar. I did spend most of this race almost shitting myself. And then we have Chester, one I didn't really train for, but popped out a little 3 hours and 5 minutes during a negative split masterclass. But to find those final 5 minutes, I knew that I needed to have a big old training block, starting all the way back in November, when I began this 20-week training block, accumulating 3 weeks ago in a 110-kilometer week, and this behemoth of a long run. But training is one thing, and getting the job done on race day is another, so what are my goals for the race? A goal is a 2 hours and 58 minutes, 4:14 per kilometre, that some of you might think a little bit conservative given the speed of that long run, but I know myself and I know that usually I need to give myself another 5 seconds actually on race day, sometimes a bit more, which is why that B goal is just to break 3 by a millisecond, 2:59, 59, 59, 59 reoccurring, 4:16 per kilometre, just get the job done. And then the C goal, just get a PB. But in all honesty, I'm throwing myself off a bridge if I don't get it this time. Let's go get it done. And here we are across the line at the Newport Marathon 2025. I actually managed to start quite a bit ahead of the sub 3 hour pacer. My actual goal was to be behind him, start off very conservatively at like 4:20 a kilometre, but I couldn't see him until right at the end, and then I was just too boxed in, had to just go along with the flow. And then at the start here, I couldn't really slow down. There were so many quick people around, so I just sort of went along with what the speed was going to be. It's actually not too congested right at the moment, but in about 300 metres time, we're all very tightly packed in. I just sort of went with the flow. You can see at the top left of the screen, I'm comfortably ahead of that goal pace, 4:07 per kilometre, but I'm being swamped up at the moment. That's absolutely fine, but I'm trying not to just go too slowly to really get in the way of people, as there's lots and lots of people here going for well under 3 hours, 250s, 240s, 230s, I think 220 won the thing in the end. And it was pretty much here where I decided that the slow start wasn't going to happen. I was just going to have to try and evenly split this, trying to hit 4:10 to 4:15 per kilometre for the whole thing, which I'll be honest did slightly worry me, as that negative split I did at Chester was just such a good feeling, overtaking so many people at the end. I started off with a 1:34 and then did a 1:31 for that 3 hour 5 minutes. Today, hopefully I can do 2 1 hour 29s, but I will probably be clinging on for dear life at the end. That's okay, as long as I get the job done. And that long run that I did do was constantly in my mind throughout this whole race. I just knew that the fitness was 100% there, and those little gremlins appearing in my mind were just gremlins. The fitness was banked, I just had to produce it on race day. Heading up through Newport city centre now. The majestic clippity-clop of runners, and this is the first and only hill of the first half of the marathon, and then a few K from the end there is another hill. The rest of it is absolutely flat, and it's only a 10-15 metre hill at the start and the end, which is why I picked Newport Marathon for my sub 3 attempt. Heading down the hill now, out of town, just before the 1 kilometre mark, which was a 4:14. Very lovely stuff. I actually had my watch set up in 5 kilometre intervals to make sure I wasn't chasing that pace too much, but so I still had an idea of what I was going at, and I will put those 5 kilometre splits up each time to see how we're doing, and then really think about what I was thinking about at that moment when I was seeing those 5 kilometre splits. And I'll be honest, I was not enjoying how high my heart rate had got only a kilometre in, 167. During that long run that was in my mind giving me the confidence, my heart rate didn't really get above 166, 167 for the whole thing, and it's got there in 1 kilometre. So any thoughts of pushing that pace towards the 4:07 per kilometre that I averaged during that long run out the window. This is going to be trying to average just a tiny bit quicker than sub-3 pace. Oh, it's going to be a long morning and hopefully not too long in the afternoon, as this started at 9 a.m. 2.5 kilometres in, and I'll be honest, I was slightly worried. This should feel really, really easy, but it just wasn't. My heart rate had at least stabilised 164, 165, but at Chester it was barely into the 150s at this point. And I began to just concentrate on breathing in really, really slowly through my nose, slowly out through my mouth, trying to just get that heart rate to come down, which here it has, 163, to just calm things, trying to hold a pace that's no quicker than 4:10 a kilometre. 4:15's absolutely fine. 4:20 it says up there at the moment. Hopefully this is just early stage jitters and I'll feel a bit better soon. Just after 3k, heading up towards the Newport Bridge here, trying to think about anything that wasn't the fact I still had 39 kilometres to go. I did manage to crack a smile for that photographer though. What a cutie. And just before we get to 5k, we got to enjoy a nice little 400 metre section on the running track, and I was starting to feel just a little bit better. The sun had come out though, and that was a little bit concerning. The temperature was only 12 or 13 degrees, but it just felt really quite warm, and I really wanted those clouds to come back over. And our first 5k split has arrived, and I saw on my watch a 20 minutes and 59 seconds, 4:12 per kilometre. Pretty much perfect. It's a shame I wasn't feeling physically amazing yet, but to put it into perspective, to scrape a sub-3, 21:16 5ks are what you need. So I'd banked a little bit of time here. Obviously, probably I was going to have to run more than what my watch was going to have as a marathon, so this might have been closer to a 21:5 seconds in reality, something like that anyway, but I will try and keep an eye out on the mile and kilometre markers to see how close they are to my watch throughout the race.
Hello buddy, how you doing? Thank you man. What are you going for today?
Well, I've been following you here. Seems like we're both similar times.
Well, yeah, I'm a bit. I wanted to be behind the 3-hour pacer, but I sort of couldn't see him at the start. So.
You're training, you've been a lot quicker than that.
Yeah, I'm just making sure I get to halfway and resemble a human.
Yeah, so good luck.
Yeah, keep at it, man.
This was someone who watched the channel who I believe's name was Harry, having a little chat with me. And honestly, as soon as this chat happened, afterwards, it just felt way easier. I don't know what happened. It just settled my nerves or whatever. And it just felt considerably more comfortable. And here we have a really flattering shot of me looking back at the camera, checking if it was on or not. But thank you again, Harry. Really helped me out. Just before 7k and an absolute tease of a 23-mile sign. We have to do one loop twice. That's about 6k at some point towards the end of the marathon. That seems like an awful long way away, but I am feeling a lot better even though that sun is really sunning at the moment. Just before 10k, and you can see I did have a bottle of water, but what a palaver it was to get it. These water stations were absolute fuckfest. I am so bad at getting one. I completely missed one and literally had to pick one up off the floor that had been discarded by another runner. Not ideal, but I knew that with the sun out, I needed to get those fluids in early. Thankfully, it was turning a little bit hazier as we go through 6 miles. And I might as well put that second 5-kilometre split up now, and I'd sped up ever so slightly at 20:57 at 4:11 per kilometre. I was now feeling much, much better. Confidence beginning to grow ever so slightly, but there's a long old way to go. Just through 7 miles now, and I was really beginning to enjoy running on this bit of road here. The previous road had been a little bit broken up here and there, and you had to run on a specific bit, not to be at risk for some good old ankle wobbles that I do know and love very well. But on this stretch was the first time where I had to actually physically slow down quite a bit to stop going. As you can see, 4:04 a kilometre. A very enjoyable period of the marathon was happening. Another wallop of water there through 8 miles, and I'd actually managed to get this one myself. I'd missed the second one, picked it up off the floor. The first one I was actually handed by someone after missing it. But as we go through 13k on the watch at least, we are feeling nice and hydrated and feeling in control. Just before 14k, the leaders go past on the other side of the road, so I know we're coming up to a turnaround fairly soon. Nice little cheer section there, tucked in behind this pack. The pace a little bit cheeky, but we're just before 15k, so we'll see what this 5 km split was very soon. And there it is, that third 5th kilometre at 20:59 as we come to the turnaround. If I keep shitting these sub-21 5Ks out, we might be joining the 2:57 marathon party. But it's a long way to go still. We're not going to get ahead of ourselves. You can see there, look, the sub-3 hour pacer. I must be, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds ahead of him, which gave me another confidence boost, as usually they go ahead of schedule. So at the moment, all is well in the world of marathon running. But it didn't take long for stress levels to rise a little bit, but thankfully for the right reason. You can see here, just before 16k, I was tightly packed in behind this lot. Felt like I really was maybe being slowed up, and I was looking at my watch seeing sort of 4:16, 17 a kilometre, and I couldn't really make a move on anyone as the traffic on the other side of the road was pretty busy. But thankfully, that speed, as we went on over the next kilometre, just sort of went 4:15, 4:14, 4:13, and it just felt so easy. This was by far the easiest point of the race, was the next 5 kilometre stretch. It felt like I was out there just jogging, and I wanted this feeling to just go on forever, and it definitely was a blessing in disguise that I couldn't get through past these people at the moment. And the pack behind was definitely beginning to grow. There was definitely more and more of us sort of thinking that maybe we're being held up slightly. But for me, I could see that I was still on pace, so I didn't have to do anything stupid. But as more and more people were in a tight vicinity, it was just about watching my feet to make sure I didn't start tripping up over anyone. But at 17.5k, that pace was just dropping a little bit slower than sub-3 pace. So when I saw this guy in the white Alphas make his move, I took my chance and followed him through. And thinking about it now, that was because I saw this water station coming up, so I wanted to get ahead of the group I was with to make sure I could finally get one. Hustle 3, there we go. That's not so hard, is it? So we're approaching halfway at 18.4k. We're behind Cleavington AC, Welsh runner. We're going at 4:12 a kilometre. My heart rate is basically sat between 166, 168. It's been doing that ever since the first kilometre, to be honest. It's very close to the 170 that I really don't want it to go to, but for now, it's not gone there, so I'm pretty happy. I'm in a nice group still. Let's keep it simple and keep doing what we're doing. Almost at 20k, it's got pretty tight and congested again, but that's okay because we're in the 4:10 to 4:12 per kilometre hype train. The sun is behaving itself, only showing its face in little small bursts through 12 miles. Hopefully, this pack can stay together until, I don't know, at least 20. Unfortunately, the pack did break up somewhat, but here through 13 miles, you can see 21k on my watch. That's pretty much bang on, which is very exciting for me. But as we go through the halfway sign there, the half marathon, chalk on the floor, 21.2k. So my watch is about 100 meters ahead or so. Not the end of the world, pretty much within what I would expect it to be off by. But confirmation that my 5k splits are probably on my watch a bit quicker than I was actually doing. And that next one was a 21.06, the first in the 21s, unfortunately, but only dropping off by 6-7 seconds, still below the sub-3 hour pace. Obviously, probably this was actually a 21.10, so more like 4:14 a kilometre, but feeling really, really good still. But unfortunately, the running gods decided to throw a spanner in the works, and just after halfway, I got a big old stitch in the right-hand side of my stomach, and it wasn't a little one, it was a moderate one, I would say, a 6-7 out of 10, and all I could do was just try and cling on to these people and not think about anything but just clinging on. And that actually, I think, made my pace come up a little bit. As you can see, 4:04 a kilometre. Heart rate also creeping towards 170 though. All I could do was just pray that this little bitch of a stitch would subside as we go through 14 miles pretty soon. Please. And thankfully, it did. A couple of kilometres later, it pretty much disappeared, and then I started to feel pretty much myself again, feeling pretty strong. But look what's up ahead. It's our good friend, the water station. How are we going to do here? Managed to sneak ahead of the guy who was just ahead of me. I'm looking over for water. No, missed one there, missed one. Oh, he's taken it, and
Fucks. Oh, cunt.
Oh, I tried to pick one off the floor, but it was empty, and I have not got a water in this water station. Not very happy about it at all, but at least the sun isn't out at the moment, and hopefully there'll be one pretty soon. You may also notice we're starting to fly past a few runners. This is where we start going around the loop section where there's going to be half marathon runners, and then once we do it the second time, there'll also be the marathon runners here. So it will get pretty congested. We're probably going to have to do a lot of zigzagging. Many twists and turns still to come, I'm sure. And thankfully, despite the stitch, despite missing my water, things getting more congested again, I'd managed a 21.2 seconds, speeding up in that last 5k, 4:12 a kilometre. Still able to occasionally go close to 4 flat a kilometre. And that sub 3 was just beginning to look a little bit closer. The little carrot was just dangling in front of me. But as we all know, the marathon doesn't start until 20 miles. So I definitely won't be trying to speed up just yet. Through 27k, pink New Balance just ahead, 247 just up there, red and black stripe. I've seen a lot of these boys for a lot of this race, and I'm just trying to stick it in with them as the effort level does begin to just noticeably start to rise to get towards 4:15 or lower per kilometre. It wasn't tough yet, but I was very grateful for pink New Balance very much pacing me at the moment. And I would say over the next 5-7k, it really sort of flip-flopped between a K feeling, okay, this feels all right, this is sustainable, to, oh God, I've got that much to go. I'm not sure if I can do it. Still 15 kilometres to go. Our pace is still the right side of 4:15 per kilometre, and we are just getting there 1 kilometre at a time. Overtaking a lot of the half marathon runners now, but at the moment the road is wide enough for all of us. 29k, 18 miles, clinging on maybe to pink New Balance, but I don't care how I get there. I just want to get there in less than 3 hours. Just before 30k, and thankfully pink New Balance had dragged me along to a 21:08, still 4:14 per kilometre, but it was definitely getting towards hard to keep this pace. Only 12k to go now. The marathon starts at 30k, 20 miles. I know I'm around a minute ahead of a 3-hour pace at the moment, but you can lose it so quickly in a marathon. If I start doing 4:30s, 4:40s, I will lose that within 2 or 3 kilometres. As Great Western Runner flies past me. He's looking super strong. I'm definitely not capable of going with that. But moving forward to 31.6k, and we're now surrounded by some new friends. I'm not exactly sure what happened to pink New Balance. I think potentially I overtook him, but I can't honestly remember. I was very much getting towards the pain cave zone, not quite there yet, but getting somewhat towards it. You'll also see another friend has come out. The blasted sun has appeared again, and I was beginning to see a lot more walkers here and there as we pass through the official 20-mile zone, and this guy comes through looking fresh as a daisy. Wish I had enough in the legs to go with you, but no, it feels like I'm starting to fade a little bit. I've just got to cling on. 10k to go, and I was able to find a little group to run with again at the moment. Teach Run Coffee here and Red Top just ahead. It looked like we were in the clinging on for a sub 3 brigade. I can see just ahead as well, red and black stripe is just there, and Team Bath AC comes through looking like another one whose legs are in a little bit better condition than ours. 33.2k. I've caught up to red and black stripe, and you can see me there looking a little bit hot and bothered, but I'm still managing to just about be the right side of 4:15 per kilometre. Thinking about whether I stick here just behind red and black stripe or maybe push on behind yellow top. Probably wise that I stick as the legs are beginning to struggle, and we just run side by side for a little while. 21 miles, just 5 miles to go. Yellow top is tantalisingly close, but I haven't got enough to get up right behind him, but I'm still just about going quick enough to get this job done. But as we approach that 35k marker, I lose sight of Yellow Vest, and it starts to get very narrow in these country lanes. A lot of zigzagging, and my pace starting to see a lot more of 4:16, 4:17, 4:18. I knew having gained a minute at least in the first 30k, I reckon, not 100% sure, you never really know. I could afford to lose a little bit of time, but I could not afford to go into the 420s. I had to stay in the 14s at least. We go through 35k, weaving in and out, and look at 21:12, still 4:14 per kilometre. That's brilliant news. But look at the live speed, 4:23 per kilometre. Was I beginning to fade? Had I started to hit the wall? Oh, where am I going to go here?
Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
it could come down to seconds, so I make myself known, and the seas parted to let me through, and I'm just giving it everything to try and get towards 4:15 per kilometre. I keep creeping towards 4:20 now. Another guy letting me out the way. Top bloke, thank you so much. Look at my heart rate now, 172, 173. This final 7 kilometre is going to be hell. We thankfully now turn left out of the loop we had to do twice, so hopefully the congestion will ease, but can we make it to the end without losing too much time? 4:15 per kilometre, we are just about there. I think the guy in the yellow top is the guy with the yellow top from earlier, so I'd love to be able to creep up behind him and use him to pace me till the finish. Not a Scooby-Doo where he went, if he's further ahead of me now or I've overtaken him, but we're at 37k now. I'm vibing out with Pink Top. My breathing is starting to climb through the roof, but the average pace for this 5k when I was looking down at my watch was 4:15 per kilometre. I was just about able to hold on to it for now. The lifetime 4:13, 4:15 per kilometre. I was just about doing enough. 5.2 kilometres to go. 23 miles in now. 3 miles to go. Look, 4:23 per kilometre, and it was right now the wall started to push towards me. Every time I looked down now, that average pace just started to go a little bit away from me. 4:16, 4:17. The sun was being a right little prick, deciding to come out to play right when no one wanted it. There's only 4k to go, but it felt like it was going to take me an hour. And my official split time between 34 and 38k was 4:23 a kilometre. My brothers were looking at this thinking, oh no. This was the group chat with the bros at the time. Was this all for nothing? 4:23 per kilometre. That was going to start bleeding time. I had to find a place I'd never been to before to grab it out of me to get this sub 3 hour done. Almost at 39k, 4:19 a kilometre, and that effort to get there felt like I was doing 3:25, going for a 5k PB, but the legs were just not functioning correctly anymore. If I could stay in the high 14s from now as we go through 24 miles, 2 to go, I thought I'd at least have a reasonable chance of still going sub 3, but I wasn't sure. Just before 40k, and it was a 21:28 that I just about mustered up. 4:18 per kilometre. But of course, the official split between 34 and 38 was much slower than that. I wasn't aware of this, so I was just going as quick as humanly possible. I go through 25 miles at 40.5 kilometres, which means I'm going to have to run an extra 200 to 300 metres compared to my watch. This is what I expected, but of course, it's still unfortunate as I start to now go up this tiny little hill. It's only 10 metres, but at this point in a marathon, it looks like Mount Everest to me. No, 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 not like this. Look at the pace slowing to 4:30 a kilometre. My heart rate 178. I've at least managed to overtake Tesco Value Top, but it still looks like a long way to the top of this hill. 4:35 a kilometre. 4:40 a kilometre. Come on, we should be cresting the top of this hill soon. We're losing a big bunch of time though currently. Did we do enough in that first 35k? 185 heart rate, 187 I hit as we get to right to the top of this hill. Thankfully, we can start going back down the other side now. Have I got anything left to try and speed up and gain a little bit of time back? Or am I spent coming back down the other side? And I am managing to pick the speed up a little bit. 4:24 per kilometre, but I've got to get in those 14s. Oh, I fear I'm going to have the worst moment of my whole life, seeing 3 hours come on the clock as I cross the finish line. Yes, 4:18 per kilometre. Getting past purple alpha flies. Trying to anyway. 4:17 per kilometre. Can we get quicker than sub 3 pace now till the end? That is my sole aim. 1k to go, or 1.3, 1.4k to go. 4:13 per kilometre. 20 weeks of training comes down to this. We round one final corner, and I think it's just a straight line now to home. Look who it is, 247's back. Can I go with him till the end? But he looks like his leg speed is considerably higher than what I can do at the moment, but I will do my best. Under 1 kilometre to go. I can't quite live with 247 and my pace 4:18 a kilometre. I've got to give it more. But I'm struggling big time to keep that pace up. 247's long gone, and I'm barely in the 14s. 500 metres to go. This could be slipping away. But Tesco Valuetop puts himself back in the ring, and I finally start to pick the pace up, trying to cling on to him for 12 per kilometre. Very, very close to the end now. A few hundred metres to go, and I get back past Tesco Valuetop into the 3s. I am past a marathon on my watch. I can see the finish line. I'm ramping the speed up, 340 per kilometre. I don't care about getting in the 2s today. There's not a hope in hell, but I will get as close as I can. 332 per kilometre. The clock on the right is still the right side of 3 hours, but I'm still not quite there. 326 per kilometre. Oh, the finish line looks so close, but so far away. 321 per kilometre. Just one more push. Am I going to make it? 318 per kilometre. Couple cheeky little overtakes at the end for good measure as well. 317 is what I maxed out at. Come across the line. I think I've done it. I'm not 100%. Yes. I've only gone and bloody done it. A 2 hours, 59 and 7 seconds. I have finally realised that sub 3 hour dream. Pink Pony Club was playing in the background for good measure. What a bloody brilliant day. Thank you everyone who screamed for me out there on the course, spoke to me while we were running around together, all the people that have thanked me on Strava, on Instagram. It means a lot. Thank you for joining me on my running journey. I don't know where we're going to go next. I'm just going to enjoy 2 weeks in Florida. I will see you very soon, where I think Damo has a park run for me to do, maybe at the weekend. I don't know. I'm just going to celebrate and jump in a lot of water. See you later.